enhanced by the musical accompaniment of my dear friends. This story is called When You Dressed Up Sharp and Felt All Right. A few days after my 16th birthday, I lost my Rocky Horror virginity. It was in a shitty little duplex theater in Van Nuys, California. I had wanted to see Rocky since I was probably 10 or 11, and my mom drove the two of us past a marquee advertising a midnight showing every Saturday. Turns out that it was at the New Art in Santa Monica. Last night, the guy yells out, "Did you see it at the New Art?" And I made fun of him because I didn't see it at the New Art. And then on the way back to my hotel last night in Seattle, I remembered that's where I saw the marquee. So retroactively, sorry guy I made fun of in Seattle last night. But really, achievement unlocked, knocked out memory from film years ago. So I wanted to see Rocky since I was 10 or 11, and my mom drove us past a marquee advertising a midnight showing every Saturday. Now, my parents either couldn't or wouldn't tell me what it was about. My memory on that specific detail is hazy. And because they're here, I could ask them, but I won't. But anything that happened at midnight on a Saturday sounded awesome to me. The creepy lettering on the marquee and the word horror in the title served only to increase my anticipation. All right, settle in. A week or so after my birthday, my best friend Darren and I were at a place on Van Nuys Boulevard called Cafe 50s. Now these 1950s themed cafes were everywhere in the 80s. They were nearly as ubiquitous as yogurt shops. Some blame Stand By Me and Back to the Future for their popularity. This particular one was my favorite. Though I'd never actually been to a diner in the 50s, this one felt the most authentic. Which means that it copied what I'd seen in movies better than anywhere else, and it had Del Shannon's Runaway on the jukebox. Ourselves on patty melts and chocolate shakes and vanilla cokes and extra fries with ranch dressing and all those things you can eat when you're a teenager without feeling like you want to kill yourself when you're done. And we talked about all those things that seemed important after you discovered girls. Like, you know, how to talk to one. Thereby instantly convincing her to take an unforgettable trip with you to second base for 16 seconds of commitment-free passion. I had been informed that's how it worked. We argued about the time travel paradoxes in Back to the Future. Like you do. We confirmed that quoting Monty Python to the 24-year-old waitress is not the best way to get a stand-up level when you're 16. Or ever. And we reluctantly admitted that Michael Keaton was a far better Batman than we had been prepared to give him credit for. Oh, hindsight, how I look through you and see how truly magnificent Michael Keaton actually was. In other words, it was a Saturday night like any other. And as midnight and the restaurant's closing drew nigh, our attention turned toward that most important of teenage activities, doing anything but going home. Hey, have you ever seen Rocky? Darren asked. Oh, God, I hate that stupid movie, I said. And the sequels are even worse. It's like, okay, we and said, I mean Rocky Horror. Oh, I said, no, but I've always wanted to. Let's play across the street at midnight, he said. We should go. Now, as quickly as I'd gotten excited to see it, I lost my nerve. And through the pre-Snopes grapevine that gave teens of my generation the truth about Mikey from life, oh my God, dude, I heard that he died because he ate Pop Rocks and drank Coke. I had heard these tales of Rocky Horror virgins being deflowered in horrifyingly humiliating ways. Oh my God, this guy I know went to see it in Santa Monica, and they made him take off all of his clothes, and they wrote virgin on his chest in lipstick. I used my nonchalant voice. Don't they do things to people who haven't seen it before? I said, not really, he said. My best friend. But if you're worried about it, he said, I won't say anything. Oh, okay, I said. Darren was 2 years older than me. He was 18, he was wise in the ways of the world. I knew that I could count on him to keep my secret shame between us. The waitress came back by our table. Can I get you guys anything else? Before I could demand a shrubbery and her phone number with equal chance of getting either, Darren said, could we get some slightly burnt white toast? The waitress and I gave him the same curious look. He smiled back enigmatically. 20 minutes later, with burnt toast in my pocket and butterflies swarming in my stomach, I bought my ticket. We stood in a line that grew to about 24 people, and we waited for the theater to open. I made nervous small talk with Darren, talking a little too loudly about the fantastic cast I had seen in, I think I chose Huntington Beach. The doors opened a few minutes before midnight. We walked into a theater that TARDIS-like seemed bigger on the inside than it appeared on the outside. Dirty blue and orange curtains hung on the walls. 2 aisles separated 3 groups of squeaky blue seats. The floor was painted navy blue. Blue seemed to be a recurring motif in this particular theater. And the floor was appropriately sticky. It's in the good old days before there was one movie theater in the world. We chose seats on the aisle near the back. I should have been freaked out when a guy sat down a few rows in front of us and lit up a cigarette in flagrant violation of the theater's rules and fire code. But the truth is, being a rebel adjacent excited me. The theater quickly got as full as it was going to get. It seemed that most of the audience members knew each other, especially the 4 people who huddled together at the front under the screen. A dude with long black hair and bright red lipstick emerged from the group, and he spoke to the audience. I'm just a sweet transvestite, transsexual, Transylvania. Now, I can't remember exactly what he said, because as he began, a hand tapped me on the shoulder. I looked up, and I saw the most phenomenally beautiful girl I had ever seen standing in the aisle. She had shiny black hair and a Betty Page haircut, bright green eyes, full red lips. Full red lips. She wore a red corset, and it fit her perfectly. She bent over, and she asked me, "Are you a virgin?" I was. I I was in every way that mattered. I don't know if that's disturbing for my parents to hear or reassuring, but there it is. But in that moment, I would have pushed my mom in front of a train on its way into a lake of fire if it meant that this girl would have separated me from this affliction. I'm sorry, Mom. If I had been standing, I'm certain I would have fainted. What? She extended one hand, and she caressed my face. She repeated herself more seductively than at first. I said, "Are you a virgin?" Yes! Yes! I am a virgin! Her eyes flashed, and she squeaked. And she said, "This is going to be fun." Reliving it. Before I could ask if this was the kind of fun that came with an instruction manual, she stood straight up and she abruptly hollered, "I have a virgin! A virgin!" Before I knew what was happening, she stood me up. She had me repeat some oath that I've long since forgotten, and she spanked me. Not brutally, but not overly gently either. I remained fully clothed. But by the time my deflowering was over, I was soaked through to the skin as everyone in the theater assaulted me with squirt guns and spray bottles. As quickly as it had started, it was over. And she disappeared before I could get her number or drop a Life of Brian quote on her. I'm sorry, I'm not recording. Choose all you get. Like most peoples. Monologue. Like most peoples, the loss of my virginity was nothing like I had hoped for or expected. But it was still pretty awesome. I loved every second of it. And before I knew it, she had vanished into the darkness of the theater. While other regulars repeated similar rituals with a few other virgins in the audience, I looked at Darren. He looked back at me, mirroring my disbelief. That was awesome! Not only had a girl practically showed me her boobs, she had touched my face seductively, and she spanked me. Gun. And she had talked to me. figured out what I was supposed to yell at Brad. And Janet. I threw my toast. I did the time warp. I watched the girl who had taken my rocky virginity play Magenta, which is probably why Magenta remains my favorite character in Rocky Horror. When the movie was over, we drove back to La Crescenta in my slightly better than La Crescenta's the house. All right. That never happened. Fuck Glendale High School. Yeah, that's right. You're gonna eat our track team's ass. Yeah. Okay. It's the first time in my life I've been proud to be from La Crescenta. Okay. Sorry. When it was over, we drove back to La Crescenta in my slightly better than Patrick Stewart's Honda Prelude. Some of you might know that story. Blasting New Order the whole way. The sunroof open, the windows down. I dropped Darren off at his house, and though I got home around 3 o'clock in the morning, I was so loaded with caffeine, sugar, and adrenaline, I didn't fall asleep until the sun came up. The movie was campy. And it was not especially good, but that was not the point. Rocky Horror was a shared experience. It was a place for misfits of all stripes to gather once a week and fly our Transylvanian fleet flags. For the next 2 years, Darren and I led an ever-growing group of our friends to Rocky at least once a month, sometimes more, at the Rialto Theater in South Pasadena. I haven't been back to see Rocky since 1991 or 92, but those years and the film itself are a huge part of who I became as an adult. And they will hold a very special place in my memory for the rest of my life. And I'm sure that the jokes have changed, and I am positive that I would feel like a stupid old man. But just once more, I would like to go there at midnight on Saturday and do the time warp